If you're smart, you're going to find out and realize that the way to continue to be successful and where all the money comes from is from the knocking on the doors. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, everybody says, wow, I knock on all these doors, 3 people say yes, and I get 1 or 2 of them to buy. How could I be at 2 or 3 kitchen tables a day without having to knock on doors? Everyone has that thought. Everybody thinks they're going to figure that out. There's all these ways that lead back to the fact that where all the money comes from is from knocking on a door.
I'm the one who knocks.
So there's a lot of ways to get appointments. I think one of the problems, one of the big pitfalls is that when we're out knocking on doors, we start hearing about somebody who's not knocking on doors and they're selling as much or more. Well, how are they doing that? There's lots of different ways to get appointments. And what are they doing? They're advertising on Facebook. They're advertising on Instagram. They have paid a bunch of money for Google AdWords, which is going to click them into talking to a bunch of people who already think they need solar. Wouldn't it be great if we were just talking to people who already think they need solar instead of knocking on doors talking to people who think they don't need solar? What am I doing? Why am I wasting all this time talking to people who think they don't need solar or haven't had that thought or haven't come to the conclusion? Why don't I just talk to the people who've come to that conclusion? Well, those guys are shoppers. They have had an appointment or 2, a presentation or 2. They've had several people on their door, whatever. They've woken up to the idea, you know what, I think I need solar. And they go to the Google and type in, how much would I save with solar? Who's the best solar deal? Whatever. They're searching for solar, and that creates a lead form that gets filled out, and that turns into an appointment that you didn't have to knock on doors for. So that's a good way to get appointments. When you're looking at, there's also direct mail, there's telemarketing, you could spend money on radio and TV, but all of those, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, putting direct mail, putting an ad in your local newspaper, all of those ways require an investment up front, and then you're hoping to get a return after. There's all sorts, marketing works. Marketing works, but it works way, way less than you hope it will. It turns out to be much, much more expensive, and you can go from paying $2,000, $3,000 to all of a sudden what you're doing wasn't working, and now what you're doing is paying like $5,000. You go from 20 or 30 cents to 50 cents. So, I've had that experience over and over and over again. This kind of ad works. All of a sudden now it's not working. And you just spent, a month, 2 months advertising and putting out a certain kind of ad. And all of a sudden, for some reason, people are not responding. So there's sort of fads. People are clicking on pergola shade ads. They're clicking on meters. They're clicking on whatever. That works for a while. But then it turns out throughout a period of time, people have seen it 5, 10, 100 times, and they quit clicking. And all of a sudden, something that was working really well is now not working. That's addressing the idea that any particular area is oversaturated. Guys, if that house doesn't have solar, the saturation point of that house is 0. And it doesn't matter if they've had 1 guy in 3 years or 3 guys in the last month knock on their door. I'm going to guarantee you something. I'm going to tell you something that's an absolute fact, and it's something that you need to know in your core. All right? And that is that you haven't knocked on that door. Someone of your caliber has not knocked on that door. Someone who's been through this training has not knocked on that door. And because of that, that customer is underserved. What we're going to do is be of service. You getting dressed, taking a shower, getting in your car, driving to a neighborhood, parking in front of somebody's house or down the block, walking up their driveway, knocking on the door to tell them stuff they don't know is a very valuable service. It's a tremendous service. You have knowledge. You have information. You have wisdom. You have dozens or hundreds of customers who have experience with this, and you're able to relate that. 12 of your neighbors have solar and you don't. I know what would happen if you did. I can tell you the numbers to a penny, and that's why I'm here. I can be a valuable service to you. So when you think a neighborhood is saturated, if there's one house, if there's 30 homes in a little development and 29 of them have solar, the one that doesn't have solar has not had you on their doorstep. They also haven't had to face the fact that 29 of their neighbors have done something, and holy hell, what are they missing? Like, what the hell am I missing?